My boyfriend, 37M, blames me, 26F, for being harassed at work. Do I leave him? Okay, so my boyfriend of 9 months and I have just had a big fight, and now I'm home alone and seeking advice from strangers, I guess. I'm going through a bit of an ordeal at work where a male colleague became slightly obsessive with me. It started with me just thinking he was being nice, but it seems to have accelerated very quickly. We had hardly any contact until he was moved into my team and quickly became friends as he liked a lot of the same things as me, favorite TV shows, musicians, etc. After a few months, I did notice him make some odd comments about my boyfriend, who he's never met but seen on my Insta. Things like, "I wouldn't picture you with someone like him," or "we'll see how long that lasts," and "he's the kind of guy that'll hurt you in the end." I thought he was being very assumptive, but didn't think anything of it. Maybe that's my fault. Then the flirting started, or what I think he thought was flirting, where he would compliment me in really specific odd ways like the way I walked or how nice I smelled. Some of the comments became quite sexual, so I started backing away from him, but as we're in the same team they continued and just got more bizarre. He'd compare me to characters in the shows we both watched but would reference specific sex scenes and how I would do it so much better. Very gross, very inappropriate, I know, but I've never been one to cause a scene or get anyone into trouble, so instead thought I'd just tell him straight that he was making me uncomfortable and he needed to stop. This was yesterday, and he did not take it well, shouting at me in the office that I had no idea what the fuck I was talking about and soon I'd get it. Not sure what he meant by that. He was told to go for a walk and cool off by our team leader. When he returned about 20 minutes later, he immediately apologized and said he had some things going on outside of work and assured me it'd never happen again. He even thanked me for raising how I felt and said that he'd never do anything to make me uncomfortable again. This morning I woke up to the longest string of messages I've ever received. It was sent at 1 a.m. and started by him saying that he was in love with me and we were meant to be together. The messages then range from creepy compliments to saying he was going to find out where I live. One part literally reads, "I was put on this earth for you and you only, there is no other option." I won't bore everyone with putting in the whole text, as this post is already too long, but there are some things that I found very threatening. I called my manager this morning and said I wouldn't be coming into work and that I needed to formally complain about him. She was understanding, and we had a long Teams call and started the process with HR, etc. So, now my boyfriend's response. This morning when I showed him the message, he was supportive and insisted I don't go to work and stay at his. He wanted to call off work too and call the police, but I said I just wanted to focus on informing work today, etc., and think about how to proceed. However, when he came back from work today, his attitude seemed to have completely changed. He said he thought it was fucked up that I didn't go to the police and that he thinks I have feelings for this colleague. When I assured him that is not the case, he told me that guys don't write messages like that if there's nothing behind it, and that I must have been at least leading this guy on for him to end up acting so irrationally. The more I tried to defend myself, the more irate he got, and he started saying that he hated how I acted so innocent all the time when he knows deep down I'm a whore, and that he should have known I was a low-value woman. He's never ever called me things like that before, and it was so upsetting. Beyond that, he ended up asking me to leave, so now I've had to come back to my flat when I'm feeling pretty vulnerable and a little scared. For context, I got with my boyfriend quite quickly after I moved to the country I'm now living in, so my only friends are his friends. All my family and friends are back in my home country, so nowhere else to go. I really think that what has happened is not my fault, and I'm incredibly disappointed with his reaction, especially when for the past few weeks I've told him how uncomfortable this guy has been making me, etc., so he's been kept informed. However, think it's important to know for context that he was previously cheated on by his ex-fiancée, so I know that any hint of cheating is a big trigger for him, which may explain his reaction. So, do I break up with him? Sorry for the dragged-out tale, but wanted people to have all the context. And a bit of a rant, to be honest, as I don't want to tell my family all this. It'll just worry them considering they are so far away. Relevant comments. Please go to the police about your coworker. I think you are underreacting to the danger he poses to your safety. His obsessive behavior is really scary, and it sounds like it will only escalate. As for your boyfriend, the low-value woman comment seems like he has been red-pilled. At the heart of his outbreak is probably fear and concern, but it's really troubling that he is taking it out on you. This might be a good time to leave and visit home, but not without first filing a police report. You are definitely in danger, and stalkers don't take no lightly. OOP. Thanks for your advice. I think you're right with the whole red pill thing, and think I know exactly who he must have spoken to yesterday to have come back with that stuff. Just very confusing when he's never indicated thinking that way himself before. I'm going to see if he reaches out to talk, but nothing so far. As for the coworker, I've stayed home again today, but have an in-person meeting later with my manager and HR as they've opened an investigation. I've blocked my colleague on everything, which I think some comments said was a bad idea, but I didn't realize, so haven't heard anything from him, but that almost is making me more nervous and paranoid. A work friend is going to come over later to talk about involving the police, etc. Thanks again for taking the time to comment. It's really appreciated. Update March 5th, 2025, 4 months later. Quite delayed, it's been a journey, but I had some lovely concerned messages, so wanted to post a quick update. Thank you for everyone's comments and messages. You were all bang on, and I'm so glad to say I am out of this situation. Boyfriend update. He came back apologizing, as many of you predicted he would. He confirmed my assumption that he had spoken to a specific friend that day who had gotten him riled up on the idea that it's always the girls who seem innocent that aren't, and that I had clearly been cheating with his coworker. At first, he did pretty well at apologizing and taking accountability on the phone, but when we met up I could see he was still angry at me for some reason. Turns out he felt abandoned by me because I wasn't the first to reach out after the fight. That's when I knew it was over and I couldn't forgive him. How he was making this situation about himself still blows my mind. I left him, received some more red pill abuse, and have heard nothing since. Good riddance. Stalker update. Things got a little scary. I returned to work while he was suspended under investigation. Only 1 week later I had gone out for dinner, and when I returned home, he was standing outside my apartment building. It was dark and he was wearing a hoodie, so I didn't realize it was him until I got close enough to see his face. I completely froze, and for a second I stupidly thought he was going to apologize and beg not to get him fired or something, but instead he said he'd miss me. I have no idea how this man found out where I live, but I think he is very unwell. I backed away into the street, but he grabbed me into a hug or something, not totally sure of his intentions. Luckily, some passers-by heard me shouting for him to get off and intervened, forcibly had to get him to let go. He then ran away. I finally went to the police and started the process of getting a restraining order. Even after this, I received sexually explicit emails from weird email addresses and requests from newly made Insta accounts. I have since deleted and remade all accounts. After this experience, I have moved back to my home country. I wish I'd been brave enough to stay, but I was honestly living in fear, not to be dramatic, and just didn't have the support of friends and family that I needed. Anyway, just wanted to thank all you strangers again that made me feel justified in my feelings. I really have learned a valuable lesson to raise the alarm when you feel threatened, and truly hope none of you have to go through this experience. Also, if someone loves you, they should never abandon you in times of crisis. Stay safe out there, X.